Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I'll tell you what, I saw a piece by the Midwestern Doc. You ought to follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Great stuff. This was about the smallpox vaccine and the rollout in the 1800s, early 1900s, that literally the similarities between what we're seeing with the COVID vax and the smallpox vaccine were eerily similar, to say the least. And so you had doctors that were calling out early on with the smallpox, very skeptical about it, saying this was leading to certain things and it wasn't doing any good. And yet what happened? You had the medical establishment basically vilify these doctors, and they pushed it through. And maybe one of the most interesting things I read in this article was, go figure, the Rockefellers, Carnegie, who gets on board with big medicine early on, going all the way back to then? These guys did. Why? Because that's where the money is. And what do we see now? The same thing. You got America's billionaires getting on board with the vax companies and pushing this nonsense, I believe, because that's where the money is. So we're going to break all this down for you today. Don't forget, folks, this podcast is brought to you by the Wellness Company, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. You talk about the COVID vaccine. If you took it, this is what I think you need. Ultimate Spike Detox, okay? This is nanokinase in here, which is tremendous about getting the spike protein out of your system. So many people, even people that didn't take the vaccine, are taking this to combat the effects of COVID, if you ever had it, as well, and the lingering effects of that virus. So Ultimate Spike Detox, this can basically detox your body of that spike protein, and it's wildly popular. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT, and don't forget about their wide range of prescription medication kits, pain creams, this TheraBlue, which is fabulous. I've been telling you about this. Deep penetrating peptides in here, botanicals that go deep into the joints and muscles. It's great stuff. So with that, though, folks, let's get the show started, and we'll bring in our guest. Here we go.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right. Welcome, everybody. So it seems as I go through history that we go through these dysfunctional cycles that seem to repeat themselves over and over again. And I think what we saw with the COVID vax has happened before. And this article by Midwestern Doc spelled it out, and it was eye-opening to me. I want to bring in someone who's been a great outspoken voice of truth for the Wellness Company. Dr. James Thorpe is with us. Dr. Thorpe, it's great to have you on the program.
Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me again, Grant.
Absolutely. So I sent this piece to you about the smallpox campaign basically turning out to be a disaster, very similar to the COVID campaign. Your thoughts reading through it?
Well, it's 100% accurate, and let me start out by saying that in general, I'm real concerned about anonymous authors, so I always take them with a grain of salt. If they can't source their name and their qualifications material, so be it. But the Midwestern doctor, I think, did a great job. I would point you to a much better reference, which is actually the book by John Leake and Sir John Leake, and by Dr. Peter McCullough, MD, MPH. And this was published earlier this year, called Vaccines, Mythology, Ideology, and Reality. And really, it takes you through exactly what the Midwestern doctor says, and it provides many, many hundreds of references. But you're absolutely right, Grant. What's happened in the last 6 years? You realize that it's been 6 years already? I had to count them out. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But this nonsense with the vaccine ideology, it's a religion. It goes back 300 years.
Yeah. So when I was looking at this, and you talk about the religion, it seems to me they started subscribing to this religion all the way back when this started to come out. What was it like? 1874, you started to have this being pushed. I read one piece about kids had died from the smallpox vaccine, and the government was so hell-bent on making parents give their next set of kids the vaccine. And parents are left there saying, hey, I had one kid die of this vaccine. How are you making me give my kid a vaccine again? And, you know, it seems just like it's like we're on repeat or something.
Absolutely. And this has gone on and continued to be pushed despite killing and injuring many, many people in the population. Back when it was first started and it was tested, even those who were promoting it and who pushed it in their family had family members that were killed or severely injured.
Do you know what's interesting is the progression of the smallpox vaccine seemed to take on the same progression of the COVID vaccine in this realm. They would tell you it would provide you perfect immunity for your life for smallpox. And then they realized that wasn't the case. Well, that's what they were telling us with COVID. You'll never spread it. You'll never get it. You're going to be perfectly immune. Then it came down to finally when it ended saying that, well, it's just going to make smallpox milder. When you get the virus, it'll be milder. That's the exact same thing that they claim now with COVID vaccine.
Absolutely. Everything that they told us, Grant, and you know this just as well as I do, was an utter lie. It stays in your arm. They knew that was a lie because they had the data that showed the lipid nanoparticles went through every single tissue of the body and broke every God-made barrier in the human body, including the blood-brain barrier, the blood-testis barrier, the blood-ovarian barrier, the placental barrier goes into every tissue. And, you know, it's so disgusting because, you know, my wife walked into her OBGYN doctor's appointment yesterday and goes in the waiting room. And what's up on the waiting room is the CDC, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine strongly recommends the COVID-19 vaccine in pregnancy. It's a lie.
I was reading that when it comes to the COVID vaccine and the spike protein and all the problems, that in breast milk, it's now, if the mother take it, it's shedding into the breast milk, and then it can end up in the baby that way.
That's absolutely correct. In 2022, there was an article that showed that the vaccine mRNA taken in breastfeeding mother goes into the breast milk and is taken up by the infant who is breastfeeding and likely becomes vaccinated with that. Not just one study, but two studies the following year. Again, the same year, 2022, Marcus Alden and colleagues from Sweden documented that, in fact, in the mRNA vaccine is reverse transcribed into human cells. In other words, it's integrated into the DNA.
So what does that mean for mother, baby, and that kind of thing?
Well, what it means is that it's absolutely catastrophic. Our worst nightmare appears to have come true. If it's integrated into the sperm and into the ovaries, then this is a multi-generational change in the human genome, in the human DNA.
All right.
Perpetuity.
Interestingly enough, I was reading another article that erectile dysfunction was a side effect of the COVID vaccine. I had never heard that before. Thankfully, I have not taken the COVID vaccine, and that's maybe now hearing that may have been my number one reason not to take it. But I had never heard that before. Is that true, doctor?
Absolutely true. And it makes total sense because, of course, it causes a severe vasculitis. And, of course, blood vessels are a very prominent part of normal erectile physiology. So, this is a disaster. We see the study that was just published from Israel, and it showed that of the women who took the vaccine, the vaccine went, of course, straight into their placenta and into the fetal blood. But also, there were two women, all of them except two, demonstrated the mRNA in the placenta and the blood. But of the two that didn't take the vaccine, it appears most likely that they had traces of the vaccine mRNA, likely caused by shedding intercourse with their partner who was vaccinated.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people that are very adamant about not dating someone who's been vaxxed. And,
That's right.
I talk to a lot of people that think like that.
The as you know, the sperm donation, the non-vax sperm donation, the value, the futures market has risen dramatically.
Wow. It's interesting, when I was looking at this smallpox article about the similarities, there was something that the doctors came up with that the vaccine didn't take, meaning that if you didn't have a eruption of the skin, that's what would happen with the smallpox vaccine, then they said the vaccine didn't take and you might need another one, that it wasn't working, and that the problems were happening when, depending on whether or not the vaccine had taken or not. Is there any similarities to COVID vaccine with that? And what is this term when the vaccine takes?
Yeah, I think that's a term, a lay term that has been used, and there's other more detailed medical terms, I think, a variety of different terms that have been used. And the concept is, in the individual that gets a vaccine, do they have an appropriate antibody response, both on the T cell and the B cell, not to get too technical level. But you're right. The vaccine, the original vaccine, actually comes from the word cow, in Latin. And variola is the lesion on the arm that you may still have a scar from your smallpox vaccine on your arm, and as do I. But the whole concept there was that if you give a vaccine or any type of a antigen, and it gets into the arm and it creates a lesion, then the thought is, okay, well, your immune system is obviously being stimulated.
Did you find it interesting that Carnegie wanted to get involved in this early on, when you had some more homeopathic medicine doctors, Chinese medicine doctors, saying this is not a good thing? Traditional medicine was really making an explosion onto the scene. He sees that as an opportunity, and he wants to jump on board. Sounds similar today, too.
Absolutely, and amen. This is the Flexner report from 1908, and all of the capitalists, and not that all capitalism is bad, but in essence, what they really did was, not to over spiritualize this, but all healing doesn't come from physicians; it comes from God, and for all of humanity. That providers, healers have always used spiritual techniques and a variety of different techniques that encumbered, our Creator healing us. So this was ripped out of human history in 1908 in order that the oligarchs could make literally trillions of dollars since then. And then they eliminated all of the subspecialties that didn't believe in, that had their own tradition of healing, be it Ayurvedic medicine, be it homeopathic medicine, so many other disciplines that have been used for thousands and thousands of years.
You know, I find it so refreshing to hear you say. I mean, I've known you for years now, and you're one of the premier doctors in your field, full medical doctor for everybody home, and yet you still acknowledge that not all healing comes from medicine and these godlike wannabe doctors, but it comes from God. I've got to believe you're a minority in the medical community to openly make that admission as a doctor who I think sometimes doctors just simply want to play God.
Well, I think you're right. We're not. We have to understand that all healing comes from God. This is clearly stated in the Bible. You know, in Isaiah 53, it's prophesied hundreds of years before Christ was born that by his stripes, the whippings on his back, we are healed. By his stripes, we are healed. So, and when you look at Jesus's ministry, he used some pretty weird methodologies to heal people. Remember, he didn't use medicine. I mean, remember when he healed the blind man, right? He spit in the dirt, took the spittle and the dirt, mixed it up and put it on the blind man's eyes and said, now open your eyes up, right? That's a pretty weird way of healing somebody, right? Or the woman who had the bleeding issue for 20 years and depleted all of her assets going to doctors, was poor, had the faith. All she had to do, she believed, had faith, was touch Jesus's garment, and she was healed. And she did.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wish more doctors would open their eyes to that aspect of life that is really proven and handed down by our Creator. So thank you for that, Doctor. I really and I mean that. Before I continue this conversation with you, though, I want to tell people about the wellness company and some of the products they have. If you're looking to lose weight right now, there is a new product that they have called Drop. And I'm going to give you a promo code that is absolutely unbelievable. The deal, when it came across my desk, I was shocked that they were actually doing this. If you use the promo code GRANT100, that will save you $100 on the Drop weight loss product by the wellness company. So many people have been telling me how they are shedding pounds on this a supplement that they have. It's called Drop. You go to twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT100 for $100 off Drop. You can use the promo code GRANT for 10% off all of the other products, including you got the Parasite Total Detox, which, by the way, I recommend you doing. It's great. You got the TheraBlue Pain Gel, and then, of course, the prescription medication kits. I don't want you to forget about these. These are probably some of the most important things you can have in your house are these prescription medications. They could save a life. But as we're coming up on the holidays, why not start Drop? And $100 off with the promo code GRANT100. And I think you'd be well served in doing that if you're looking to lose a little weight. All right, twc.health/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT or GRANT100 to get $100 off of the Drop supplement. All right, I do want to say, Dr. Thorpe, what's interesting is if you remember, President Trump was vilified, made fun of every time he wanted to come up with an option to try to figure out a way to cure COVID, kill COVID without the vaccine. Do you remember when he said something about the blue light? It's too bad we can't just get a blue light inside people and kill it. Well, Joe Rogan talked about this, and I want to get your response, Dr. Thorpe, because I know you're up on all these technologies, that maybe there's a possibility this could be legit. Listen
to the debate again on the plane. His first answer, he lied 3 times. And he lied about Trump saying the bleach thing. Trump never said the bleach thing. He was talking about ultraviolet irradiation, which is a real thing that actually works.
It actually works. And not only that, they've used it for decades.
Yeah, but...
and there was talk about using it for respiratory diseases and shining light into the lungs.
I've talked to a doctor who told me that 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 worked well. And so the people like the medical association, they came to him, they go, hey, you have to sell this technology to us. And he said no. And they go, well, if you don't, we're going to have a bullshit study that says this doesn't work. And that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
And they do that to everything.
All right. What's he talking about? Does this work? This light therapy?
Well, it does work. It's very effective. We now know that ultraviolet lights are used in ventilation systems, in aircraft to destroy viruses. So I think the physiology there and the physics is spot on.
They tried to vilify President Trump every time he tried to come up with something. And I think they were just mad at him that he was thinking outside of the box and maybe even questioning it. I don't even think President Trump knew how much he needed to question the science when this started to unfold in 2020.
Yeah, remember there were hundreds of thousands of doses of hydroxychloroquine that Dr. Peter Navarro and Dr. Steve Hatfield had accumulated. And there's some strong suggestion that actually President Trump actually used that hydroxychloroquine. Now, that was blocked because, of course, it was very effective. And it was noted to be very effective on SARS-CoV-1 after the turn of the century. And it was published. But yet they had to block that so that the emergency use authorization would allow the vaccine and billions or trillions of dollars into the pockets of these the kleptocratic pharmaceutical, medical, industrial complex. So you're right. Had they deployed those tens of thousands of doses, hundreds of thousands of doses of hydroxychloroquine nationally in January of 2020, the pandemic would have been over by the summer.
Amazing, really, that they didn't. I don't think they wanted it to be over. I think that was the key on all of this. You had asked me to bring up the coming alleged quademic. Quad for 4, flu, COVID, RSV, and the norovirus. They're really pushing this now, Doctor, aren't they?
They really are, and it's more the scare tactics. And I want to make it clear that we could have some more infectious disease, but remember, so many doctors, especially emergency room doctors, and I have some in my family, are saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many complications from influenza in the emergency room." Well, yeah, as I remind them, yeah, you may be, but remember, that's the result of giving a pregnant woman the COVID-19 vaccine or giving the kids vaccines. That's exactly what's causing this rise in morbidity, in mortality, and infectious disease. And if you don't believe that, look at the CDC's own data. You see the mortality rate in children, infants, age 0 to 4 has skyrocketed coincident with the COVID-19 vaccine in pregnant women.
Wow. Well, you mentioned scare tactics. And one of the things that we're hearing, too, is now it's not in the quademic, but measles. I don't know whether it's starting to fade a little bit, but we would hear about was measles, measles, measles. And I remember watching Brady Bunch episodes where the kids were hoping to get the measles so they could stay home from school. I don't think measles was really all that dangerous. But Aaron Siri, who is an attorney, covers a lot of these cases, was on with Laura Logan. Now, there were allegedly 2 people that died of measles in Texas. Listen to what he says here.
And I know, by the way, they reported 2 children died of measles in Texas recently. We represent one of those families. That child did not die of measles. We have all the medical records. When they tell you in the news he died of measles, that's not true, okay? The other child we don't represent, but a different doctor had reviewed medical records, and he came out and wrote a report and said that also wasn't from measles, by the way. I'm not saying measles cannot cause harm. It can. But I'm saying that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? I mean, I remember back to COVID. We just covered it actually last week as a reminder. Anybody that had COVID, you didn't have to die from the COVID. If you had COVID, it was labeled a COVID death. Is that what they're trying to do here?
I think so. That's exactly right. As you know, there was massive financial incentive from every which way to Sunday. There was a massive incentive for the hospitals to put the false diagnosis of COVID on the chart. And remember, by the way, the PCR that, quote, diagnoses COVID was rigged. We know that now. It was way over rigged. Probably 80% of the cases were falsely positive because there were too many runs of the PCR analysis. So then the families were compensated, I think, $7,000 or $8,000 if they could get COVID-19 on the death certificate. The mortuaries, the embalmers were also, if they could get COVID-19 on their certificates and their paperwork, wow, they were also reimbursed. So it was just a massive Ponzi scheme.
Wow, unbelievable. Back to a couple requests you had. Dr. McCullough is a friend of mine and of course a friend of yours and works with you over at the Wellness Company. Another new product that you guys have out. I'm going to play this little clip from Dr. McCullough and then ask you about this.
Hey everybody, Dr. Peter McCullough, Chief Scientific Officer of the Wellness Company, introducing Ultra NAC. You may have heard about data regarding N-acetylcysteine denaturing the spike protein and allowing it to be better cleared through the liver and the kidneys. And now the Wellness Company has Ultra NAC as a perfect companion to the Ultimate Spike Detox. And together, this regimen will help you detoxify after SARS-CoV-2 infection and after COVID-19 vaccination and give you the best chance for a speedy and complete recovery coming out of the pandemic. So pick up Ultra NAC today, in addition to McCullough Protocol-based spike protein toxification, and get on the pathway, the fast lane to better health.
All right, so that is twc.health/grant. That's twc.health/grant. That new product. Dr. Thorpe, I'll ask you, so that combined with Ultimate Spike Detox, I guess this is the new best way. And he mentioned, too, after you have COVID as well, not just for vaccinated people, but after you have COVID.
Yeah, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, is derived from the amino acid cysteine, just a small addition of an acetyl group, N-acetylcysteine. I've been using it for 30 years. And of course, even before COVID, it's a dietary supplement or a medication, classified as either. It's very safe and it's very effective. It stimulates glutathione. Glutathione is a very important, probably the most important detoxifier of the body and of the liver. So it's extremely important. It acts as an antioxidant. But over and above that, the supplemental effect that it has on degrading this spike protein is extremely important. And we've been talking about rolling this out now for over a year. And so I'm really grateful. I'm very excited. I'm on. I tried to order it yesterday, but that it actually wasn't up yet on our website. But I think it's up now, and I'm going to order a couple of bottles of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. All the products are great, such high quality, and so imperative that I know leadership at the company is making sure of quality controls. I don't think you can get a better product when it comes to what the Wellness Company is supplying out there. I don't think you get better doctors than what the Wellness Company offers me up on this program. You're one of them, Dr. Thorpe, and I always appreciate you coming on.
It's great to be with you, Grant.
Hey, Merry Christmas, my friend, and if I don't see you before the new year, have a great New Year's, too.
You too, sir.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
Bye-bye.
The great Dr. James Thorpe, always great when he can join us. Again, folks, just a reminder, twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. 10% off all the products. But Grant 100, if you're looking to lose weight, this new product drop, man, oh man, I'm telling you, going into the holidays, this is what you should be doing, all right? twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT100 for $100 off drop. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. See you soon.